YNW Bortlen officially released from prison. YNW Bortlen, better known as YNW Melly's partner in crime, has officially been released from prison. He's been locked behind bars for a long 3 years and was very close to facing a life sentence. That is until last minute. His legal team was able to prove him innocent and free him back into society. Unfortunately for Melly, now that Bortlen is free, it makes it much more harder for him to beat this case, considering he's the only person left to blame for the loss of his 2 friends. This case is complicated and has been for the last 3 years, but now that YNW Melly and Bortlen are finally starting to speak up, things are starting to make more sense to law enforcement. Melly's legal team hasn't completely given up on him. His close friend YNW Bortlen managed to get released from prison after facing a long 3 years behind bars. Melly's team is hoping to accomplish the same for him. For today's video, we'll be diving deeper into how YNW Bortlen managed to get released from prison and what his legal team had to do to prove he was innocent. We'll also be jumping into the topic of YNW Melly's case specifically and discussing the possible outcomes for Melly. It gets really confusing, so be sure to pay close attention and watch this video until the end as we get into things one detail at a time. Before we get into this video, be sure to subscribe to Lime Report. We post daily celebrity updates and news content that you really should know about if you're a fan. Don't forget to leave a like and comment keyword YNW Bortlen to enter a chance of winning our brand new iPhone giveaway. Shockingly enough, YNW Bortlen actually managed to get released from prison. I'm sure most of you are wondering, how had that happened? Considering Bortlen was just looking at facing a life sentence and all of a sudden he's a free man? Well, Bortlen and Melly were recently spotted in court together, and Bortlen left a free man while Melly had no choice but to go back to prison. A lot of people are wondering what was said during this court case and why did Melly get locked back up? The Lime Report team has been doing a bunch of research on this subject, and after looking through tons and tons of court documents, we found some information that is actually very interesting. The information we've come across is what led YNW Bortlen to being released from prison. The only unfortunate thing about this document we found is there's some bad news for Melly's case. Melly and Bortlen both spoke way more than they have been during their previous court cases, which means that their legal teams have gained much more information about what happened on the day YNW Melly's friends lost their lives in a so-called drive-by. YNW Bortlen had a lot to say during his court hearing, and to his benefit, it convinced the judge to release him from prison. It's sad to say, but the judge wasn't convinced that Melly is innocent. He still thinks that the so-called drive-by was set up. But with Bortlen being the driver, it said that he was innocent and had no clue what Melly was planning. The judge believes that Melly is still responsible for the passing of his 2 friends. The only part that the judge had misunderstood was YNW Bortlen's position. That is until the most recent court hearing. YNW Bortlen's legal team was able to prove that Bortlen had nothing to do with the setup. He was just trying to survive the horror scene, and to his luck, Melly allowed him to survive. It is said that Melly planned this whole thing. He and his homies were leaving their local studio, and they thought that it was just another regular day in the studio. But once they pulled into the parking lot that they usually chill in, Melly pulled out his strap and started busting at his 2 friends. The only person that wasn't harmed was Melly's very best friend, YNW Bortlen. He let Bortlen be, but right after taking his 2 friends' lives, he jumped out of the car and started firing at it, making it look like they were in a drive-by. Luckily, Bortlen didn't get injured when Melly started bursting at the car. Melly had no clue, and he didn't care either. After he did all of this, he fled the scene. It was about 30 minutes after everything happened when Bortlen arrived at the hospital with his 2 unresponsive friends. At first, when law enforcement looked into the case, it looked obvious that Bortlen played a part in the setup. For that reason, Bortlen has spent the last 3 years of his life in prison and was very close to being sentenced life in prison. But justice was served for him. And now, he's finally back to reality. Well, not exactly what his reality used to be, considering his closest friends are all gone. All 3 of his friends are no longer around, so I'm sure home doesn't feel the same. Melly is stuck in a sticky situation. It's pretty much all on him, and this whole evil plan that took 3 years to solve is coming to an end. Melly can be punished in a few different ways for the huge crimes he's committed. He has one last trial coming up in a few months, and once this happens, Melly will have his last chance at life. It'll be very interesting to see how this all plays out for YNW Melly. The Lime Report team will be on top of this case, so be sure to subscribe to our channel for the latest info on this topic. We post daily rap news that you really should know about if you're a fan. Be sure to like this video and comment keyword YNW Bortlen to enter a chance of winning our brand new iPhone giveaway. Thanks for stopping by. See you next time.